2025年4月，一场关于种族歧视言论的风波在美国政坛引发关注。美国田纳西州众议员 Diana Harshbarger 在接受一位保守派基督教播客主持人采访时，公开称呼德州众议员 Al Green 为 boy， 并嘲讽他使用的拐杖是道具，暗示拐杖里可能藏有武器。这段言论迅速在媒体上引发了轩然大波。Al Green 现年77岁，是美国国会资深的非裔议员，长期致力于民权与平等事业。面对如此侮辱性的称呼和攻击，他在休斯顿召开了临时新闻发布会，严正回应。我们先来看一下事件中这位女议员的原话片段。
Now that's not me. I wanted to go over there and grab a few of them, but Al Green was over here with his cane, and I'm like, gosh, dang it, boy, put that. He does not need that cane. That cane is a prop. Well, it's not real. And I'm wondering, one of my colleagues said, screw the gold part off of that and see if there's a gun in there. I'm like, I don't know about that man. He's just Weird Al.
Boy 这个词在美国黑人民权运动历史中长期被白人用作羞辱和贬低黑人男性的手段，因此 Al Green 和各界代表一致认为，这样的言论不能被轻描淡写的对待，更不能被正常化。接下来，我们一起来听听 Al Green 在发布会上讲述他为什么决定站出来发声反对。
All right, friends, thank you very much for being here today on very short notice. And I especially thank the members of the press who are here today on exceedingly short notice. This is an important topic, and I am grateful for your attendance. I do know that we're competing with another event, and because of that, we probably won't get as much press attention as I think the topic merits. But it's important that we do what we must when we can. Today we're here because of a slur that has been made, a slur that addressed me by the title of boy, and a slur that also addressed the LGBTQ plus community as fairies, a term that I never use except for today to communicate. And there's also a reference that was made to my cane. I'll talk about all three of these, and then each person here will have an opportunity to speak as well. We're all going to try to be as brief as possible. But this is a topic that many people are very passionate about, both of these topics, meaning the slur on the LGBTQ plus community, as well as a slur on black men. Boy, this is especially sensitive for me because as a child, I remember my father being stopped by a peace officer, and the officer referred to my father as boy, and my mother was girl. And it wasn't just that one time. It was the way society addressed people of color who were of African ancestry at the time. It wasn't said to indicate that you were youthful. It was said to demean, to degrade, to denigrate. It was said such that you would know your place in society. And it was something that you would immediately have said to you. I can remember the child of an Anglo male calling my father boy, the child. My mother was called girl in the presence of her friends on one occasion. Friends, it's not about Al Green. It's about whether black people in this society are going to allow slurs such as this to be normalized. We cannot allow the normalization of these kinds of slurs. Unfortunately, the president has set the tone and tenor. And unfortunately, the tone and tenor starts at the top, and then it meanders its way down. We have to stop it, and stop it now. This is not a simple case of a layperson on the street calling me a name. Just this weekend, as I boarded a plane and I took my seat, a man came by and called me a name that I never use, but I'll use it for our purposes today. He called me a bastard. And I never said a word. He was just a layperson. This is different. This is a member of Congress, a member of the Congress of the United States of America. It's different because the member said it over the airwaves. This wasn't something said as we were going through the halls of Congress or some other place out in the streets. This was said over the airwaves. This is an attempt to normalize, whether it's done wittingly or unwittingly, this type of slur. And it's something that we cannot tolerate. So we're here today, all of us, to give our commentary on this. I want to go further now and mention the LGBTQ plus community. Everybody knows I'm an ally, so I don't have to say this. But when one person is slurred, every person suffers. We cannot allow the suffering of black men being called boy to cause us to overlook the suffering of members of the LGBTQIA community being called fairies. We all suffer. We're all in this together. And it's time for us to unite and bond and bind together and take on these challenges of our time. We cannot allow posterity to believe that we had a chance to stand when we had the opportunity to stand against these slurs, racial slurs, slurs against persons in terms of their sexuality. We cannot allow posterity to believe that we just simply stood silently by. We cannot be silent on these issues. So I'm going to do this today. I'm going to allow each person to speak, but I'm also going to do one other thing. I want people to know that these are my canes. This is the one that I used when I was on the floor of the House of Representatives. I didn't go there to use this cane in the fashion that I did. I was trying to make my way and leave at the time the president started to talk about his mandate. And my comment was, you don't have a mandate to cut Medicaid. That was my comment. My colleagues across the aisle wanted to prevent my voice from being heard. So in an effort to mute me, they got very loud. So I spoke again, and then I mentioned Social Security, and I mentioned Medicare. They got louder. Eventually, I was evicted. My cane is always with me, and there are some who believe that this cane has a weapon in it. I'm almost reluctant to say that it doesn't, to be quite honest. Because there is some degree of safety in knowing that people might not bother to say some things or do some things that are ugly if they think that I may be armed. But Bishop Dixon, I want you to know this. I believe in the 23rd Psalm, and I believe in that part that says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil.
Right.
Because my rod and my staff, they comfort me. This is my comforter. It helps me in the event that I need help when I am overwhelmed by someone, and I get many threats all the time, and I cannot have the police with me all the time. I get threats, and I need to make sure that these threats are properly met. Yeah. If I don't have the police with me, then I'm going to have to defend myself. This is lawful. There is nothing unlawful about this cane. Now, so as to give someone an opportunity to take it on, and sir, you just put your camera down. Would you come over, please? Would you feel the top of this?
It's hard.
Try to open it if you would, please.
Oh, open it?
Yeah, well, it can't open, but at least give it a try.
Solid.
Turn to the camera. Okay, and pull on the bottom of it, please, there, just to make sure that nothing flashes out. Okay, so this is a cane. That's what it is. It's lawful. It's lawful. I am ambulatory, but I do find that this is quite beneficial when I'm climbing stairs. It does give me some degree of stability that I need from time to time. I am ambulatory. This is the brother to the cane. They were gifts given to me. One has my name, the other has my initials. This one, I am retiring today. It has been abused enough. I'm going to place this in a very special place and save it for some person who might do research and look through the vista of time and want to know what this cane was all about, and they'll have the benefit of this cane. We persons of goodwill have to understand that this is not as simple as a cane and a comment. This is about something that was started in this society on August 20th of 1619, when the first persons of African ancestry were delivered to the colonies that would become the United States of America. And they were there for 5 reasons. Well, let's talk about 4 today. The 5th one, I'd have to have a long dissertation, and I don't want to do that. But they were there, brought there to be a permanent, identifiable, subservient caste of people. Permanent, identifiable, subservient caste of people. This is about that caste, not a class. A class is a socioeconomic circumstance. You can move in and out of a class. A caste is hereditary. You're born into it, you live your life in it, and you die in it. I hate to take us back to that point in time, but since that time, this caste system, there are still aspects of it that people of color suffer from. There are still aspects of it. Boy was a part of the caste system to let you know your place in society. This is what boy was all about. It was something that was used so that not only would you know your place, but it would say to others, I know this person's place in society. Boy, the caste system. Well, I want the persons who would do this, and especially the president, to know that in 2025, on our watch, we are not going back to a caste system. We're not. We've suffered too long, fought too hard, too many lives lost for us to now retreat to this position. People have lived and died so that we could have these opportunities that we share. And we are not going to let them be sacrificed at the altar of persons of ill will who have chosen to set back those who have made progress, to roll back the clock, turn back the hands of time. We're not going to tolerate it. It's about the LGBTQIA community because that community has the same connectivity to this racism, to these slurs as we have. They have been demeaned, and because this community has chosen now to announce who they are publicly and be themselves, there are people who don't want that. They want people to deny in the public who they are, be whatever you want someplace else, but just don't do it in my presence. Well, that's not the America that is enshrined in the Constitution. You have every right to be who you are wherever you are. I'm going to forever be an African American male, unapologetically black, forever, as long as I live. And I invite my colleagues to know that we're going to support you in your quest to be yourselves. So with this said, I want to announce that State Representative Jolanda Jones, who is not here, sent a statement. I'll just read one aspect of it. It is deeply offensive and wholly unacceptable that anyone would refer to Congressman Al Green, well, she's being very kind with her words here, a dignified public servant and elder statesman. Well, I have celebrated my 25th birthday 3 times. And I'm now 2 years into my 4th 25th. And I'm inviting all of you to celebrate my 4th 25th birthday when it occurs. But I am now in elder statesman. I just happened to pick those lines. I haven't read these things so that I can ferret out the better lines that are here. Ron indicates we're not going back, we're not staying silent, and we will never let bigotry dress itself up as patriotism or pity. So those are the comments, and now we will hear from other persons. And as we're doing this, would you examine this one also, sir? Pass it over at your leisure. Examine this one, because this will be my new cane, and I want to validate it as being good to hold. Okay, and we're going to put this one over here. We will entertain questions, but I do want to make one additional comment. And I asked that Dr. Lira stay because it's important to note that this type of language and behavior also extends to the Latino community. And it extends to the Latino community in this sense. The term illegals, that term causes people to be identified as less than, but it also sends a message to other people that they can do things to persons who are just as much the children of the same creator as I am, that they can do things to them with impunity. So I'm saying this because I want people to know that it's really pervasive, but it takes on different shapes and forms, but it impacts minorities in this country. And that includes the persons who were here today, but I also want to make sure that we say that it includes our dear brothers and sisters, our friends, our neighbors, who are part of the Latino community. And Dr. Lira, I wanted to make sure that was said in your presence, because I know that you're fighting this battle every day. If you are Latino in this country, you are now suspect. You are suspect. And you've seen what's happened with persons being snatched off the street, taken to some distant place, persons wearing masks when they arrest. We don't have secret police in this country. No secret police. Having said that, I'm not going to entertain your questions.
We've been friends for more than 20 years.
Yes.
And I probably, with no disrespect, have said you're my dog, or you're my man, you're my. But that's not the way it was said. That these words that were said to you about you, that's not the intention. It's not. It wasn't in a friendly gesture kind of thing.
These words were said to demean. And these words were said, and there were people who laughed, I am told, after the phrase was mentioned, or they in some way smiled or gave approval. I don't believe that this is something that you joke about, the way this was said. It's not a joke. This is not something that people of African ancestry, knowing our history, that we can receive with any degree of notion that it's funny. It's not funny to us. And perhaps this can become a means by which we can let other people know that this is not something to joke about. So I've asked today that we not say the name of the representative. I'm not interested in hurting her. I don't want anyone to harm her. So I've made sure that we did not mention her name. But I would hope that she would find it in her heart to let people know that she made a mistake. I'm not asking her to apologize. I never ask people to apologize. I ask people to tell the truth. If you just tell the truth, no apology is necessary. And the truth is that these slurs are nothing to joke about.
First, thank you so much for holding this press conference. I know you said you don't want to give her names or any attention, but I guess I'm wondering, what would you say to her if she was in this room right now? What would you want her to know?
I would want her to know that I am approachable, that I am a person that you can talk to, and that if you truly think that I harbor some sort of instrumentality that can harm persons that is unlawful, I would simply say, just ask me and I would pass it to you for you to examine. So this is not something that you have to joke about. And who I am is something that I cannot change. But you can change the way you address who I am. And I don't use terms like red and you know the rest of it in terms of a part of your anatomy and physiology located just below your ears. I don't say those things. Now, if others do, okay, that's your business. But let's make sure that we don't do these things in the public square. And as persons who hold public trust, we have a greater responsibility to set an example for others. I raised my cane on the floor of the House, and after I did it, I told people that I was prepared to suffer the consequences. And I have been. I didn't say I would like them, but I said I was prepared to suffer whatever they were. But there are some things that you suffer consequences for because they're not about you personally, but they're about helping people. There was no helping anybody with this commentary. It wasn't about helping. It wasn't about trying to uplift society. It was just about demeaning and putting down people of color who happen to be male by birth.
So this person, not in your normal circle of friends or anything like that, there's no way it could be misconstrued as a friendly.
No. The lady and I have had very few encounters, if any at all, very few. So I'm not going to disrespect her as a member of Congress. That's not what this is about. This is about getting her and persons who might be within her sphere of influence to respect others. This is about gaining respect, not having the opportunity to impart additional disrespect. None of the people here today were interested in disrespecting her. We were interested in making sure that we get respect for others. And this includes the Latino community, as I mentioned, because they're suffering too, the LGBTQ plus community. It has to include, of course, the African American community. And I'm going to mention this, and Dr. Douglas could elaborate on this. Too often, we in the African American community are accused by people that we represent of not standing up for African Americans. People tend to believe that we stand up for everybody but African Americans. And we want to dispel that notion. This won't do it in its entirety, but this is not about a person. This is about all people, and especially those who are demeaned by these derogatory comments.
Not 100% sure if you could actually answer this question, but why should Houston care about the words we use?
Because in Houston, we strive to have unity without uniformity. We want people to be themselves. We are proud of the Asian community that we have, and the song and the dance and the food, the culture that they bring. We're proud of the Latino community for the same reasons. The LGBTQ plus community for the same reasons. So if we're going to have unity without uniformity, then we have to allow people to be who they are and respect them for who they are and not demean them by calling them names that we clearly should know are unacceptable. This was a 65-year-old lady from the South. As you know, Tennessee seceded from the Union because of slavery. And for this to be brought now into this century, on this day, on these days, this is unacceptable for you to bring this and resurrect this kind of behavior. You should know better. And my hope is that she will do better as a result of what we're doing today. Yes, ma'am.
So the people that interviewed her, I believe, are a Christian organization. You yourself are Christian. Would you say that what she said during that interview was Christ-like or a representation of God?
Well, that organization, I'm not making an issue today. Mm-hmm. I don't want to make them a part of the issue. I would hope that they would not assume that I think that everybody in that organization represents what she said. That could be simply that person who was the host of the program not being responsive in a proper way. So I'm not spreading this beyond the person who spoke the words, because people sometimes are caught at a moment and they don't respond as they should. I've been caught in moments when I didn't respond as I should have. But the speaker knew or should have known that this would be offensive in a very vile way. This is, if you've never had to see your parents demeaned in this way, you don't appreciate it to the extent that I and Dr. Douglas would appreciate it, because we've had our parents demeaned this way in our presence. My mother was called girl. It was commonplace in the South. And my father was called boy. But I thought that we had matured as a nation beyond this. So we are here today to say, we're going to stop it. We're not going to let it continue. This has to stop. And we're going to fight to prevent it from continuing. Not fight in a pugilistic way, not with fisticuffs, but with morality and a sense of decency. Those are our weapons.